Hello everyone, it's John here and
Jim.
yes, and here we are back for another episode by popular demand. We had over 3 viewers request that we come back to, and we're very...
Two of them was.
yeah. The other one was Lee, who's filming it over there. Anyway, what are we talking about today? Oh yes, we're talking about guitar, again, strangely enough, and the difference between talent, maybe natural talent, and just hard work, actually practicing, because I think, we've all seen guitar players play, and, normally when you first see someone play and you're inspired, you think they have some gift from heaven, they've got this natural ability. But it's funny now, isn't it? Because now that we're a bit further down the line and we play, sometimes people might come up to you and say, oh, well, you're very talented. And I think if someone, if that ever happens, which it doesn't normally, but if it ever did, I would say, no, it's just practice,
Yeah, exactly. It's if someone does say something like that, which sounds very nice, but it's not that at all. It's just a lot of practice, and a lot of dedication and thought about what it is you're doing, and that takes a little while sometimes to put that in its place. Initially, you might not know what it is that you need to know. Quite often, you don't know what it is you need to know, and then further down the track, you start realizing that, okay, there's this to learn and there's that to learn about the basics. But we all want to start up there and come back.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
have to at some stage come back there, but and the learning curve is not like that. The learning curve is, and sometimes you have to go back here, but in actual fact, it's going up all the time. But the perception that it will be like that is erroneous, and can be quite damaging for your learning thing too, I think, because when you are feeling like you're going like that, and then you hit this plateau and nothing's happening, and it's just becoming so hard, and then maybe that's the point when you need to go back and address something else that you haven't done back here. So you do that, and then you get through that plateau, and you hack your way through the jungle a bit more, and then you come to another clearing, and that's great. But there's going to be some more jungle at some stage to get through.
Yeah, it's funny all this business, isn't it? Because you've got to learn to be, I think, as well as learning, the stuff you learn like chords and scales. I think learning to be creative, I think that's a big thing which is missed out in teaching a lot. Like you learn a technique when but very seldom are you taught, well, these are your options. You can do certain things. Now some people, like we're talking about talent, might have an idea and they're inspired and they can think of something. But for a lot of us, well, for me anyway, I'm sure maybe you too, Jim, is that you need to work on something before you get it. In terms of creativity, maybe we'll do a little. Playing. The thing I always used to like to do, I don't know if you, because we're all different in terms of what we like to practice, but if I was practicing, like, say for example, a scale or like the pentatonic scale, I used to force myself to stay in one position, like in that position 2, say. And I just used to say, let's pick 4 notes and just see what you can do with those 4 notes,
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So, if you were, a good thing you can do is even if you just know that, that you could practice just playing it kind of loud and soft, couldn't you? And that is teaching you a bit of creativity, And again, it isn't a talent. It's just you're trying to focus on that. Actually, do you mind playing a 12 bar? And I'll play. I'll just
key
A maybe. But just do it in an easy one. Right? I'll do it in A. So if I'll just play the scale, and I'll just if I play it flat.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So that's quite boring, isn't it? But if you vary the sound. So I'm not really improvising now, I was just trying to pick, those 4 notes and go up and down, but just vary, how loud and soft you play it, And again, once you get, anyone can do that really, even though that's a bit difficult at first, and vary how loud and soft you play. And then you could maybe pick 3 techniques. What's the technique that you like? Like, for example, I don't know, like hammering on or sliding or pulling off.
Maybe a slide, okay.
Yeah, so you could think of three things maybe, like, what can we say? Playing loud and soft, a bit of bending, and then you said sliding, didn't you?
Yeah, a bit of sliding.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
So let's try this. So this is not talent. This is just picking those 3 sections, whatever it is that you want to work on,
Right.
and then seeing if you can use only 4 notes. So you're restricting yourself, and you're trying to add those things in. So I'll tell you what. Let's have an experiment. Let's get you call out what I should use. So I'll just start with flat. And then you call out, slide, or bend, or slide, bend and slap. That could be the name of an interesting film, that, couldn't it?
Right.
Slide, bend and volume.
Hammer. All right.
Yeah.
Slide, bend, and hammer.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Slide. Bend.
Whoops.
Okay. Hammer.
So, that wasn't very good. I even dropped the note there in one place. But, what I'm saying is that's not talent. That's just sitting there and picking on something that you might want to work on, like sliding or hammering on, or what was the other one?
Well, it's a good example of, for someone who can't do that, to see the simplicity of it and how it can be done. So if you can't do that, if you couldn't do that, that would sound quite impressive, I would think.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because when you work on guitar, maybe you can play something, whatever it is, maybe it's just like one chord. But, to someone who can't play that one chord, it's just amazing, I mean, I'm not saying that was good, because it wasn't, but if I'd have seen myself like, 25 years ago doing that, I think, no, this is good. But, you can, I think with this stuff, it's very daunting. I would say just start with like one note, even if it's in blues in A, then just do that with one note. Let's see if we can do it with one note. Call out again, I'll play one note, because hopefully you should be able to groove on that one note. don't know if I can, but let's see. So I'll just stay on the A. Now I need a technique, a slide. How are we going to hammer on one note? Yeah, it's harder with one note, isn't it? So you can only really, I mean, you can vary it in terms of rhythm, can't you? A good thing that I thought of at once, which I thought was really good, is if you play that rhythm again, don't worry about the guitar. Forget what you know on the guitar, but that one note. You play that rhythm again, Jim, and see what if you can tap something and then try and play that on the guitar. Let's try that. It's not very original, is it? So that's my rhythm. Added a rake there, a slide with a rake. Yeah, so you can, okay, that wasn't a very good rhythm, was it? But if you can think of a rhythm, you're applying that to your lick, maybe you had a,
Yeah, good point. Leave some space. Let it breathe a little bit. You hear that a lot.
But it's I think what we're getting at is that all of this stuff is learnt, isn't it? You're just trying to, if you've got a technique, you want to try and put it in your playing. And,
yeah. I think if for the beginner who's wanting to learn some lead stuff, it probably is a good place to start with the A minor pentatonic.
Yeah,
I think that's probably a good place to start because it's right in the middle of the neck, and you can play. So this is a problem. How much do you say at this point in time to someone that might be learning
without putting them off?
Without without complicating it or making it sound so difficult. And I think if you really want to learn one thing to start off with, and you're wanting to get into some lead playing, that would be a good scale to learn to start off. Maybe not calling it a scale, because scale maybe sometimes puts people off. They think, oh no, we don't want to, that's a musical term. Well, let's just call it a series of notes or a pattern. And it's a very, very handy series of notes to know, because it works really well over a lot of changes, and you can actually sound quite good in a very short space of time.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, isn't it? People are very sometimes scared of theory, aren't they? They say, I don't want to learn that, it will ruin my creativity. But let's do that thing again, and I'll give you an example of how I was when I started, and I didn't know anything. But, do you mind playing those chords again? So this is me. I've got a tape of me somewhere with this. 3, 4. I'll hit a right one in a minute. There we are. Anyway.
You get the idea.
Yeah. The point is that if you don't know anything, and maybe you're gifted and you've got natural talent, and you can whiz around and, you know, like you said at the beginning, you get the lay of the land and you can play, that's great, and you've got natural talent. But if you don't have that, it's nice to have a system, isn't it?
Yep.
So think of it as theory, or if you don't like that word, don't think of it as theory. Just think of it as you're learning creativity. You're learning how to be creative.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point, which raises this question: the really, really, really experienced guys, the guys right up there, are they just playing, or are they still relying on their patterns and their shapes, or are they just playing? I don't know. Is that possible to get to the stage where you can just play without knowing where your shapes and your patterns are? I guess if you're not sighted, then you're strictly playing by ear.
Yeah, I suppose it all amalgamates somewhere, isn't it? It's like being, like for example, being an adult, maybe, and a human being type thing. Like you can cook, you can drive a car, you can play guitar, you can swim. You can do banking. You know about mortgages. You've had experience with relationships. But when you're younger, you just don't have that experience, and you think, how would you learn all of that? How is it possible? But over time, it just amalgamates into you, I guess, doesn't it? And so you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, and someone once said to me, if you hit a wrong note, the right one will be either side of it.
Yeah. People said to me, if I hit a wrong note, you'll hit another wrong note directly afterwards, and they were right.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be one teacher I had, one of the things we used to do, he would play a progression, but I couldn't see what he was playing, and I would have to find a note that was compatible to that progression, and then find the pattern or the scale
that
was suited to that, and he called it getting on the rails, and that was quite handy. I think you and I have done it from time to time. So that was handy to know that if I hit a wrong one, that one or that one will be the two correct ones. It might not be the root note, it might not be, but then it's a matter of finding. Okay, now I know where I am now.
I had a teacher, and he used to say to me, if you make a mistake, make it at least 3 times.
Yeah.
And so it sounded like,
yeah.
which is quite a good thing to do. But in terms of talent, well, obviously there are some very talented guitar players out there, who do have a natural ability. But, it's interesting because I teach students and I always find the ones who don't have natural ability but have a passion for it soon overrun the people with natural talent, because they may not have physical dexterity or like such a creative mind, but I think all of that you can learn, and if you really sit with it, you can go really far. You can get to an amazing level, I think, just with learning call it what you like, creativity or theory.
Yeah, the bottom line, I think, is that you have to have the passion and the love and the dedication for the instrument to get you through those times when it's just becoming so hard and it's becoming so difficult to get to the next point. And if you've got the passion and the dedication, you will get there. There's no question, you will get there.
Yeah.
But as you say, people who are naturally talented, to them, it's probably too easy. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah, that is the weird thing. If you have something naturally, it's not exciting to you because you can do it. It comes so natural, so you think, oh, what's the point? I can do it.
I've mastered that. Let's go on to windsurfing or something.
Yeah. So it's probably better to be bad, because it pushes you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You have to be bad before you can be good.
Yeah.
If you want to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's very easy these days when you look at YouTube, especially there's so many great players out there, or even down your local pub, you think, my God, it's incredible, really.
There's another good point. The huge amount of information that's available now, and that can be quite daunting, but it can also be can get in your way a lot, because you've got so much that you can learn, and you want to learn it all. Whereas I think really you need to focus on just a few things, maybe one or two things, and yeah, sure, look at that stuff, but don't get distracted. Don't head off down that trail, because you'll end up spreading yourself so thin. Work on maybe a particular lick you want to learn, and then as soon as you can, incorporate it in your playing before you learn another one. Otherwise, you end up with a whole bag of licks that you can only play at home. You don't know how to get them in there when you're playing.
Yeah, see, that's something that you're very good at. Like, I don't do. Jim has a schedule, don't you? You say, okay, 15 minutes of whatever you're working on today, 15 minutes of a new song, 15 minutes of new lick. I'm terrible at that. I just, I tend to focus on something to the detriment of everything else, Maybe that's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know.
Well, I like, to know that if I'm working on something, that it's going to be helpful to my overall ability to play guitar. And if I see something, there's been a couple of things on, what's that site we go into? TrueFire.
Oh, TrueFire, yeah.
With rockabilly and country stuff, how to play around the changes. Now, to some of you who are starting out, you might not be aware of that it's really a good idea to go with the changes. How do you do that? Well, that's one of the things that I worked on for a long time with TrueFire, and learning with the rockabilly one especially, that you can, in the 1-4-5 change, okay, what's the 1-4-5 change? Most songs you can play in 3 chords, and it's those 3 chords. We won't go into the theory of it, but just trust me that you can play a lot of songs on 3 chords. What do you do over those 3 chords? What do you do over the 1 chord when you're on the 1 chord? And what do you do over the next one, which is the 4 or the 5? And what do you do over the next one? And learning what to do there can be hugely satisfying when you find yourself in a position to do a solo. Now I've got at least a little bag of tricks to make me sound at least, I've got some idea of what I'm doing. Yeah,
you can pull something out, can't you?
Because I thought in the beginning, when I started this journey, I thought it was about having a huge bag of licks. That's what I thought. So I just bought 50 country licks you need to know.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And worked doggedly on that.
Well, that's a good thing.
I still couldn't solo over a 1-4-5 change.
It is a huge subject, isn't it? Where to begin with all this stuff? It's very daunting. I don't even know what I thought when I started. I didn't even know any of this existed. Yeah. To be honest.
Well, that's what we're doing. It may be helpful to people starting out. It might be helpful to other people that are further down the track, because everything you learn will be helpful at some stage. And do all the reading you can. Get lots of books and read up on whatever you can. It might not be about guitar. It might be about a particularly good book I read was the Myth of Talent and the Power of Practice. That was really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, isn't it? Because I used to think going to guitar lesson, I'd go to this guitar lesson, or I'd buy 50 great licks you'd need to know, and I'd be great. And I never was. Now I realise it's really experience. The more you play, the more you read, the more people that you talk to, the more friends you have that play. It all adds to your knowledge, and it's sad to say that you're never going to get everything that you want from one lesson, and that's so disappointing when you pay someone $60 and you don't get anything from it. And sometimes you have a great lesson, don't you? But that's a bit disappointing, and that's a hard fact to realise that
Well, a teacher can be obviously, teachers are great and they can show you a lot of stuff, but the bottom line is you've got to do huge amount yourself. You have to go home, if you're going to a teacher, when you get home, don't put it on the back burner till tomorrow or the next day or a couple of days before you go again. do it that night as soon as you can. Whatever you've been shown that day, reinforce it straight away, if you're serious.
So I think the bottom line of this video is that if you feel, you know, you'd really like to play guitar, or maybe you do play guitar, you know, but you got to a point where you think, oh, I've run out of, you know, creativity, I just can't be that good as someone that you listen to. Don't worry, you can do it. You can force yourself to be creative. Try and listen to what techniques that you like or you've heard other people play, and then deliberately focus on that technique. So if it's, you know, whatever it is, Jim said sliding earlier, so if it's sliding, just work on that, you know, slide from far, you know, a long way away, one semitone away, 2 away, slide back into it. So just try all the ways you know to get to that one note, and hopefully that'll really help. Anyway, do let us know if you have any comments, anything you'd like us to cover. We're not really doing any teaching in these videos, though we can do if you want us to. So let us know. So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Yes, goodbye.
Goodbye.